Hi everyone, it's Galen, design team member with Unity Stamp Company. Today I have 4 cards for you, and they are dry embossed using ink pads and ink techniques. They expand on a different video that I did before with just a couple of techniques. This time I'm adding 4 more different ways you can use your embossing folders as backgrounds for cards. And so I have Unity Stamp Company kits. One is called Hello Sweetheart Bouquet. The other is Favorite Dad. I have Trust It Will Be Okay, and another kit called Hope and Strength. And so that one has a butterfly. It's really pretty. I decided to go ahead and stamp without any coloring onto vellum cardstock and trim those panels. I have various embossing folders that I have had over the years and just haven't used much, so I wanted to get them out and make some backgrounds with them. And so this is what it looks like dry without any color, and I'm also using my Creative Time scallop stitched rectangular dies. I'm using an all new palette mat. I have shades of Ranger Archival ink, and I have cubes of surface ink by Pink and Maine. I have Ranger Distress Oxide ink in 4 different colors, and so this is one of the embossing folders. It's a floral one, and I'm going to show how to use mini cubes to just make just partial stamping, if you will, of the ink directly to the pad, directly to the embossing folder. You take your pre-trimmed white panel and lay it pretty side on top of that ink, and then you put it in between the embossing folder, right on top of the ink, and you run it through your die cutting machine. It has settings for embossing, so you run it through the embossing setting, and you go ahead and you take off that panel from the ink. Clean your ink pad, of course, but it leaves embossing, which has a texture, and it's a raised texture, and also with an ink design in the background. And so for the second card, I'm going to use just 2 colors of Distress Oxide ink right onto that plastic craft palette mat, and I'm going to gently and very lightly spray with a mister spray bottle, and I'm going to lay the flat side of the embossing folder. I'm going to lay the paper flat side down on that, and it's going to create sort of a variegated look of the background, very soft look, and that's what I was going for. And so when you take it out very carefully, you see it's just sort of a blend of different colors, and that's okay. And so I wanted a little more color, so I did, this is called the ink smooshing technique. You can do the ink smooshing like we did with the embossing folder, and you can take the panel and directly put it into the leftover ink there to pick up more color as you need it. And I wanted it to be a little darker, so I added more color. And so I'm showing the supplies I use and the inks colors for each project. So now I'm going to use a similar technique. This time I'm going to ink on the raised side of the embossing pad, on the embossing folder. So you'll see the outlines of these swirls this way. And so I go over it with a gray color and a pink color, and I sandwich that in between the embossing pad, the embossing folder, and I sandwich that through the die cutting machine, and you'll see that is a very light panel also, just what I love. Anyway, you could see the swirls that have color on them. And so on the last one, I use a honeycomb embossing folder, and I just messy swipe Ranger Archival ink pads directly onto there in just 3 different shades, just splotches. It's going to show up a little more bold, a lot more bold than the other inks. And so I sandwich that between the honeycomb folder, run it through the die cutting machine, and take that out. And then I wanted a real distressed look, so I'm going to use the ink pad directly to the embossing. Now the honeycomb is raised. All of these embossed panels have raised textured sides. So when you run it, when you take an ink pad over that, it just enunciates that texture. And so here we go. I'm just assembling the vellum and different pattern papers and cardstock together to layer all of these panels to finish. And I have 4 cards. They're very easy to do. I just love this technique. It looks like jelly press technique, but it's really using embossing folders along with your die cutting machine. Thanks so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great day.